Hello, you're most welcome. Yeah, it's Henry the computer guy, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how you can work with our track changes and comments features in Microsoft Excel. So let's open our file and begin right away. So this file is actually going to act as our example, and we are going to be following this image to make some changes. Then afterwards we shall see how we can track those changes into this file. So let's say someone asked you to proofread or collaborate on a workbook, and if you had a printed copy, you might use a red pen to edit the cells that mark spelling errors and add comments to the margins. But Excel allows you to do all these things electronically using the track changes and comments feature. Actually, when you turn on the track changes feature, every cell you edit will be highlighted with a unique border and an indicator. And actually selecting that marked cell will show all the details of the changes that have been made. This will allow you and other reviewers to see what's been changed before accepting the revisions permanently. So there are some changes that Excel cannot track. That means that before using this feature, you may want to review Microsoft's list of the changes that Excel does not track or highlight. For example, if you're having a table in your workbook, that means that the track changes feature will not work for you unless when you turn that table into or convert it into a range. So let's see how we can turn on our track changes in Microsoft Excel. So we are going to visit our review tab. And when we click on the review tab, we are going to come to the option of the changes. Then we select the option that says track changes. But in this case, you're seeing that our track changes is inactive. Why? Reason being that we are having a table in our work. So that means that I told you earlier that if you have a table into your workbook, you'll have to convert that table into a range. Let's highlight it and convert it to a range. Then we continue. We shall select our table, then come to the design tab, then we come and convert that to a range. Then we say okay. So let's go back to the review tab and we see whether our option is now active. So our option is now active of the tracking of the changes. So when we come here, we are going to select that option, then select the option that says highlight the changes. And when you click on highlight changes, a dialog box will appear and you're going to select that option that says track changes while editing. Also highlight changes on the screen such that the color can be displayed and you see the changes that have been made. Then after that you will say okay. Then if prompted, you'll have to click OK to save the workbook. So that means that we have now turned on our track changes feature. So track changes feature will be turned on and a triangle and a border color will appear on any of the cells that you edit. And if there are multiple reviewers, each person will be assigned a different color. Let's see how we can make some of the changes here. For example, if I come and we're going to follow this image to make some changes onto this file. Let's try and type. So they want us to type Tyra. Then we can come and change this one to Julia. Then we can come and change this one to getting to know your team. Getting to know your team. Then we come and change this one or add something. Of course, they are telling us that we add snack, stroke, then snack. So after making the modifications, you're seeing that this cell and this cell, all these cells have been actually indicated with a color. And whenever you hover over them, they will show you the changes that have been made to that file. You see, all the changes that we have made to that file are going to appear. So when you turn on the track changes, your workbook will be shared automatically. And we know that shared workbooks are designed to be stored where other users can access and edit them. For example, a network. And if I told you if you're not on a network, these ones can as well be accessed on a local or personal copy. For example, we are not on a network, but we are using a personal copy. So let's see how we can list the changes on a separate worksheet. You can also view the changes on a new worksheet, sometimes called the tracked changes history. So the history lists everything in your worksheet that has been changed, including the old value and the new value. That means that before doing that, you first have to save your workbook. Then you go back to your changes. Let's first save our workbook. Then come back to track changes, and we are going to be selecting the option for highlight. Now, having selected the option for highlight the changes, a dialog box will appear. And in this case, you're going to be selecting another option that says list changes on a new sheet. That sheet is going to be called the history sheet, and click OK. You're going to find out that now we are having two sheets. Then we have the first sheet we had, then we have the history sheet, and they are listing the new value and the old value. Remember, we changed the question mark to Tyra, we changed TBD to Julia, then we changed this one, which also changed this, and all these are going to be listed on what we call a history sheet. So to remove the history worksheet from your workbook, you can either save your workbook again or uncheck the box next to the list changes on a new sheet in the highlight changes dialog box. That means that you can either come and click save or go back to your changes, come back to this and uncheck this. Those are the two options. But I can as well use the option of saving. That means that if I save, these changes are going to be closed, or that history worksheet is going to be closed for me. So now let's look at how we can review the changes. So track changes are really just suggested changes, and to become permanent, the changes must be accepted. On the other hand, the original author may disagree with some of the changes that you have tracked and decides either to disagree or agree. And we are going to go back to the option of the review tab, and we see how we can accept or reject the changes that have been tracked. So we shall come to the track changes. Then in this case, we are not going to select or highlight the changes, but we are going to pick the option that says accept or reject. And when we come here, we have to select the option that says when and not yet reviewed. Remember, don't forget that. After that, you'll say okay, and they are going to start showing us all the changes that have been made. We can either choose to accept one by one, reject one by one, or accept all of them at the same time, or reject all of them at the same time. So you can just go on through clicking on the letter accept. They will show you that accept, then accept. So we have accepted all the changes. So even after accepting or rejecting the changes, the tracked changes will still appear in your workbook. And to remove them completely, you will need to turn off the track changes feature. We shall go back to the review tab, then we turn that one off. Come back to the track changes, then we come and say highlight the changes, then we select the option that says track. That means that we are going to make these colors to disappear. And after that, they are going to ask you that this action will remove the workbook from the shared use, and we are going to select the option that says okay. And now all the colors have been taken away from our workbook, and that means that turning off the track changes will remove any track changes in your workbook. You will not be able to view, accept or reject the changes. Instead, all the changes will be accepted automatically. Now let's see how we can work with our comments in Microsoft Excel. Sometimes you may want to add comments to provide feedback instead of editing the contents of a cell. That means that you don't have necessarily to have turned on the track changes for you to be able to use the comments. So that means that we can add a comment, we can delete a comment, we can move through the comments that we have done. We can even delete a comment. Let's see how we can do that one practically. For example, if I come and let's say select some information. For example, if I want to talk about Tyra, I'll come and select Tyra, then I'll come and say new comment. Then I can add, let's say I changed it, let's say changed from, let's say a question mark. I can come to Julia. I can come and say add comment. Changed from, let's say TBD. I can come and say this one. I can also put another one. Let's say I add a comment. Let's say added snacks. Added snack. That is just like that. Now you're going to notice that all these comments that you have written there are going to be indicated with a color. And if at all you want to move through all these comments that you have written, you can just come and either use the next or previous. For example, previous, previous, previous. You can as well come and say next, next. So you will be able to move through all the comments that you have made. And if at all you wanted to delete any comment, you just come and use the delete option. And if at all you wanted to show or hide all the comments, you can as well come and click on to this. They will show all the comments. You can even decide to hide the comments or show the ink on to the comments. That is specifically how we can use the track the changes and comments features in Microsoft Excel. I remain Henry, the computer guy, and if you're new to my channel, please help me and subscribe. It keeps me going. Bye bye. I sign out.